Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Hot Topics podcast, where we say everything unfiltered. Today, we're going to be talking about issues bordering around juveniles mostly, anyways. With me today are my co-hosts
Psycho 4081
and
Lamb Chop.
and your favorite girl, Felonious Feather.
Okay.
So,
Very good. This is our first intro. So we want to give her a hand, everybody.
Yay! yes. Sounded good. I'm proud. You sounded good.
All right. So like she said, today's going to be our inaugural podcast because she's kicking it off and we're going to make her do everything and we're just going to sit back and look.
are you
You
serious?
know
No.
what? That's not
That's a
right.
joke.
Yes, that's not fair.
All right, so we're going to talk about something that's basically, I think everybody can relate to, juveniles.
Mm-hmm.
We've all been juveniles,
Ugh.
and we've had interactions here and there with juveniles, whether it be on a professional level, family level, or whatever, right? And we all have children, right? So we're going to talk about that, and mostly about the delinquency part. And we already know any time a juvenile is deemed delinquency, that means they committed some type of crime.
Right.
Right. So we're going to go over some family environments, peer influences, community factors, school environment, media influence, substance abuse, and the poverty. These are the factors that, get people, or I say people, juveniles,
children, right.
juveniles in trouble to be delinquents. So, and I know some people out there, they don't like to call juveniles delinquents,
Yeah.
right?
What is delinquent, though? It's like issues, like shortcomings, or what does it mean?
Yeah, delinquent means, all right, so if they were an adult, we would say they're criminals.
Criminals. Yeah.
Right? So juveniles, they say they're delinquent, meaning they're not following the rules. They're out, like way back in the day, they're wayward youths.
Right.
Or wayward youths.
Right.
So that's juvenile delinquency. It's a big topic because everybody throws their hand in that. Like you got some people that says, "Oh, we're not being hard enough on them,"
Right.
and you got some that says, "Oh, we're being too soft," and some people says, "Well, the frontal lobe is only matures when they're 25, and nobody should be." Right?
Yeah.
I've heard that. So, and I'm not making fun of anybody,
Okay.
but I am whoever
Yeah.
threw that nonsense in there. So, all right. So, family environments, and we'll do a round table on this one because, like I said, this is a subject that everybody can
That
talk
affects,
about.
yes,
Right.
that affects everybody.
Right.
too.
Right. Since you did the intro, we're gonna talk. What family environment do you think affects a kid to cause them to be delinquent?
Family environment.
Yeah. What type of things that's going on in the family?
Well, so basically, hopefully all kids should turn out the way we hope they turn out. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's not about being too disciplined or too nice or too, or too strict. Your kids can just turn out the way they do. You understand what I'm saying? Any kind of way. So it's just about prayers to me, I think. Prayers, and keep talking to them, being your friend. Because you can't be too careful. You can't be too strict. You can't be too everything. They're going to turn out the way they want to turn out.
Right.
Like family, everybody says, when they grew up with both parents, and how you do in the house. When you have time for your kids, you speak to them, you talk to them. That's just within the household. Some kids still go out and they're somebody else.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So it's a huge one. It's not just about the family, but the home front is mother, father. But mostly they say when you have both parents present, the chances of the child turning out better is really high.
Right.
Okay, so we'll talk about that, how that influences that. All right, so Lamb Chop.
Well, I think it's all kind of things that contribute to, why this child is acting out and doing these type of things. What kind of stress is in the household? Is there domestic violence in the household? It's, oh my gosh, it's so all kind of stuff. And even like you said, even if all the things are in the proper place, kids can walk out that door and decide, I'm not going to do that.
Right.
I'm not going to do all the things. But I think you're more likely to try to stay on the straight and narrow if you have an environment that's loving and caring and supportive, and listen to you and, support your dreams and your hopes.
Okay. So you mentioned domestic violence.
Right.
I think, and that was a really good one. So they say, who's they?
You.
The professionals say, they say that, if a child, what a child sees in their household, they will repeat. So
right.
when a child is the victim of abuse, whether it be physical or sexual, or they see the
emotional,
or if they see the father,
beating the mother,
or vice versa.
Vice versa, yeah.
That's what they'll get involved in.
Right.
Also, interesting enough, even with young ladies, they oftentimes get involved with boys who show
do
those
the same things.
thing.
Yeah.
So I guess that's a very big thing, big influencer. So you mentioned substance abuse.
No, but that's definitely that's a big one.
So for me, looking at a family, a lot of times it comes out of dysfunction.
Right.
And I'm not saying that's not just because you're coming from a dysfunctional family doesn't mean that you're destined to be a juvenile delinquent.
Right.
But a lot of factors includes, and you even go, by the movies, what we see in the movies, sexual abuse.
Yes.
And that manifests its way in different
your
ways.
entire life.
Right?
Oh my gosh.
Physical abuse, alcoholism, right? And one of the things that I found out a long time ago, or I picked out, was lack of supervision.
Oh, okay.
And
yeah.
I think that was one of the big things that kind of let the gang violence phenomena go on. It was lack of supervision. If you mentioned single parent, double parent household,
right?
And if you have a parent that's working, and one parent household,
right,
and they're working, they're not going to be home to do all the things, right?
Yeah.
So that was a big thing, supervision.
But you know what? I think too, it's like how you were raised. Because I was a latchkey kid.
Mm-hmm.
Like I came home, I had my key. I was, me and my sister were at home alone because I was raised by a single mom. So it depends on your family environment, the structure that you were given. Because I knew there were certain things that I was not going to do.
Right.
I know you go in that house, you lock that door, you change them clothes, you get that homework done. There was no
you didn't even need an adult to be there.
Yeah,
you had the fear.
But so you came from a single parent household,
right?
And
me,
you were the oldest.
I was the oldest.
I
am the oldest.
I don't know. I wouldn't say single family because my dad, single parent household because my dad was in another country.
The single parent.
Yeah. He wasn't physically there. Right.
So, but that's a good example of that because, you said you was from a single parent household. You were the oldest.
I was. Right? I am the oldest.
You are the oldest. And that's probably what led you into that gang lifestyle, right?
But it's different mostly it's different for females, for ladies or girls.
They're getting into gangs now.
Well, but then it's more rampant with guys. I know they do, but then it's more. Since you said, because you said she's the oldest,
right?
So like it's not something she would normally want to get into because she's a lady.
And I think a lot of times girls do it because the boyfriend, that they're with is in it, and then that carries.
Mm-hmm.
So well, again, single parent. She got into it. What was your gang name? Was
oh, geez. Oh my God.
It was Crazy Red.
I mean, I don't know. I think it depends. Like I said, your family structure, and how you were raised.
The same with me. Because I grew up in Nigeria, and with my mom, and she was a banker, so she was out of work. She leaves home like maybe 6 a.m. and she go back like 7 p.m.
Right.
And then we had to go to school and get back home and then my mom would ground us, and she'd be like, nobody's leaving the house today, and you dare not leave the house. Right. So
now, was your parent involved in your life? I mean, they like, and I know they were involved in your life, like more involved, like say the dating scene, the schoolwork, all of that type stuff.
Not really. Like, not really, because like you said, you're a different person when you leave the house.
Mm-hmm.
You are a different person. So a lot of things that I did, I know my mother had no idea. No idea. And my sister is the kind of person to be like, I'm going down so and so house, I don't want you down their house. My mother's like, I don't like those people, don't go down their house. Yeah, okay. And she would just do it. I was a little more sneaky. Like, I would do it, but I didn't say anything about it. If somebody said they saw me there, like, I have no idea what they talking about. So, I don't know. It's a lot of factors that go into that.
Factor in also the when you have the poor relationship between, all right, I didn't like my father.
Right.
Or
right.
I didn't like my mother, or she favored somebody. I'm going like Boys in the Hood, right?
So she favored the other child.
Yes.
Yeah.
Boys in the Hood.
Right.
She what was his name?
Who was Trey?
Ricky. It was Ricky.
It was
Ricky and Doughboy, right?
And Doughboy.
So he had issues with his mom, with her favoritism,
right?
And neither one of them had a father that was involved in their life. So
right.
that had they had all the elements of
absolutely.
So even closeness to parent, I wasn't growing up. I wasn't like close. I was the only girl. I'm the only girl, but I wasn't like. So when you say close to your parents, I wasn't close to my mother. Like I don't know how you mean like close. Like close, like tell her everything.
Yeah.
We just about normal stuff, random home stuff and everything. Not
right.
like I have a boyfriend, nothing like that. I never tell her that I have a boyfriend or extra stuff in school, or maybe just the normal stuff, but not like really like these days you try to build relationship with your kids, like be their friends. My mother, I wouldn't say she was my friend.
No, my mother
you know
was
what I'm
not
saying?
My friend.
So she wasn't my friend.
Right.
But she took care of but we respected her until she grew older, and then we were older till I could play with her a little, and then,
But you had to, in your household, you had to be close to somebody, because usually somebody's close to somebody.
Yeah.
If not, then they kind of get that parental figure from outside the home.
Right.
No, my mom was the parental figure, but
I'm saying that the person that, when you say close, like, is that the person that you wanted to emulate maybe, or you
I think that
idolized?
Was my aunt's for
yeah,
me.
she was a person because it affected me in a way, because I saw how she took care of things,
right?
How she was able to do everything without a man,
right?
So I was like, oh, you know what, I want to be like my mom, because she was able to get things done without waiting for any man, and I had that mentality in my head, like, oh, okay, I could do this. I just want whatever. I could get 2 kids and be by myself without a man, and men and problems. I don't even need any man telling me what to do and all of that. So it was that for me. But
that was the beginning of the downfall.
Whatever.
Oh my gosh. I think my aunts for me was the people that I could go to and just be like, can I talk to you about something? Like, because certain things you weren't going to share with your mom.
Never.
But my aunts would be like, oh, come over, we can talk about it. So they were the people that I would seek out if I had a problem, or if it's something I wanted to talk about and wouldn't tell my mother. And I knew that they probably wouldn't tell my mother. Like, that we could handle whatever it was.
So that's trust. So that
absolutely. Absolutely.
So in my household, so I didn't have that. My uncles were fun.
Okay.
They were fun.
Yeah.
I had one uncle was my mom's brother. He was the one, actually, I'm gonna say he was the one who actually taught me how to read.
Oh,
When I say read, I'm talking about at a young age. I was reading big words, and he would. So I had this is my story. Like, I had a Spider-Man book, and it wasn't just like a regular comic book. It was actually like a book, like a almost like a novel, novelette or whatever. And, you know, he would always say, hey, read that. And I would read it. And certain words that I didn't know, but I would try to skip over, or I would say it some type of way. But he would actually stop me. And I remember him taking the ink pen and, and underlining the words. Right. So, you know, he got me into sounding things out. Right. So he was big into that. So I would give him that nod and, you know, the influence that he got to make me, you know,
stop trying to act like you were a genius or something. You're still slow. You're still slow.
So for those out there who didn't know that, you know, she's Pinky and I'm the brain.
I know,
right? You know the
Pinky.
cartoon. She's Pinky and I'm the brain. But other than that, I didn't have like, I know my sister, my older sister, she had my aunt or my grandmother,
right?
Or, you know, she was way more popular than me anyway, but.
Of course.
Yeah, she was.
Oh my God.
I was the
She's
forgotten
older?
She's older.
Older,
Yeah.
okay.
So she had that person she could always go to or take her.
Right.
You know, I didn't. So my mom was that person for me.
For you.
Yeah, my mom was everything. Everything went through her. You know, it was more or less what she thought versus anybody else.
Right.
And it really is kind of like almost like that to today.
Well, that's why you turned out good. So,
and that's the person you wanted for them to be proud of you.
Shout out to Mama Glass.
Yes. Shout out to Mama Glass. Yes.
Did you just put my whole government out?
Edit.
All right. So, but yeah, that was a big thing, right? We had to have that person. So imagine the households that, you know, we know of, or we've been in, or, you know, might even been our own family that didn't have that.
Right. Our family is so big and so tight that it was always somebody you could go to. There was always somebody in our family you could go to. But I understand what you're saying. I just thought about something. I was working at a place and I was talking to this kid, and I asked him how far he went in school, and he said 8th grade. And he was, I want to say he was 20, 21, something like that.
Wow.
And I'm like, how? I didn't say this to him because he didn't have an answer, I'm sure. But how what happens in that household that allows a kid to stop going to school in the 8th grade? He could barely read. You know, of course you can't get a job and you can't work. So here we are.
Life of crime.
A life of crime.
Yeah.
You know, and that's how I ended up seeing him. And I was just like, what happens in that household that you stop, that I can say I'm not going back to school in the 8th grade? So lack of supervision, maybe lack of somebody. And this is one thing that I didn't know till I was older, that my mother didn't have her GED.
Oh.
So when she couldn't help me with my homework, I didn't understand why she couldn't help me with my homework. But she was, 16 and pregnant and dropped out of school. So it's like a lot of stuff that goes on that we can't see that can cause a kid to, do these things. And that was absolutely one of those things.
So with that said, in those type of households, if the parent or that authority figure doesn't have that push for education, they may feel
or it's not important,
or or they may feel like, well, I turned out okay without it, so you don't have to worry about that, right? So that's that I was just stunned, because I'm just like, okay, this is not 1920. Why can't you read? Right. That I did not understand. And for someone, I'm an avid reader, is just like, what is happening? Right. So I can see a lot of that happening and causing these kids to be out on the street because there's really nobody at home to provide. Right. The structure that I need, the family that I want, because a lot of gang is about, a lot of people who join gangs is about, this is my family now. Right. So, there's a lack of a lot of things that cause kids to, Okay, so here's a good one. We talk about peer influence. Yeah. And we have to say that everybody has had some type of peer. Absolutely. I always say that, the people that come into your life, your peers, your friends, your family, whatever, you're going to get something from them, whether it's, I'm not going to do that. Or I like that. Right. So, it depends on that level of influence. So in what your influence is. So if you had a group of people that, your friends, did you hang around with a lot of friends when you were younger?
No, I had probably 3 friends that I still
3 friends.
have
Okay.
today.
So I'm going to assume that they weren't obviously negative influence.
Well,
Oh,
let's just say we all did things that our parents probably would not have approved of. I would say that.
Okay.
I would say that.
Did you have hung around with a lot of?
Did I have a?
Did you have a big circle or a small circle or no? You didn't have no friends?
Well, wait a second. Did you have any friends? I did have friends.
You did?
Yes, I did. But
What
wait.
What was her name?
You know what?
In school, I had like 2-3 friends in school, but at home I had guy friends.
Mm-hmm.
So that's peer pressure.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I had.
So the typical peer pressure I think most people think of, and I'm going back to the TV,
like trying to smoke.
Heavy
Oh
smoke,
yeah, absolutely,
No.
absolutely.
Smoke,
Smoking,
drink,
drinking,
Right.
wearing certain clothes.
Right.
We did that. Absolutely did that.
Mm-hmm.
I would change clothes on my way to school.
The peer pressure for us, because how I grew up in Nigeria, so it's, your mom's gonna whoop your ass for everything.
Right. Absolutely.
So
Yes.
your peers.
Oh, so speaking
And
of
then
that,
wait, I remember one time like that. Me and my friend, my neighbor, we went to somebody else's house to pluck bananas. No bananas.
You know what?
I went to get bananas, and then they came and that's how it was like. The whole street or the whole whatever raised the child. That's part of
the
an
whole
example.
neighborhood. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Because this person's the person's house, we went to get the bananas. They were not even ripe, by the way. It was unripe bananas. We just wanted to play.
Right.
And then this person went to report to my friend's dad.
Mm-hmm.
And then my mom was home as at the time they reported. So they came to call me from my house to come upstairs to serve punishment.
Right.
So
right.
it was like
That's
that.
right.
So
she said serve punishment.
Yeah, they were not playing.
So like, all right. So
But that's another thing. We had neighbors who looked out for each other,
definitely did.
and that has gone. That's not happening anymore.
definitely did.
So another reason, why kids can go astray.
So as your children get older, I'm gonna pick on her for a second. As your children get older, right? People always have that story. Well, yeah, I did this. I drove when I was 16 or 15,
right.
and I have no license, whatever. And Felonious Feathers. I'm like, oh yeah, we was plucking bananas.
That was duh. That was just,
We went out and plucked bananas.
that was just a play. So I'm telling you how. No, that's what I was saying in essence is that I'm telling you how strict they were. Like even little things were big things is what I'm saying. So it's like so nobody can really influence it because you're going to be in trouble if your parents find out. So not just even your parents. Even your neighbors can whoop your ass for things you did. Even before your mom gets back from work, you're already disciplined. And then when she gets back,
you'll be disciplined again.
Well, let me tell you, when I grew up, like, so everybody knew my mother.
Right.
Everybody. So we already knew that. So you really couldn't, not that I was the one that was, pushing the envelope. It was usually my older sister. But you knew that it was going to get back to her, whether it be a teacher, a neighbor, somebody knew my mother. They just, that was just how it was. And if they didn't know my mother, they knew my grandmother, who she owned a soul food restaurant.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And I found out later, even in high school, that one of my teachers, I used to act up in typing and keyboarding. It was only 2 guys in the class, and I just had a ball. But she knew my grandmother.
Oh wow!
Like what? You know my grandmother?
Yeah.
So that definitely is a big factor.
Yeah,
but
the community is important.
And peer pressure. Association with delinquent peers can lead juveniles to engage in criminal behavior. That's the standard talk, right?
Of course.
Some of the things I know I've seen people do, and it's funny we talk about this now, that one of my friends said, he's very successful now. He's like, man, remember when we used to they used to unlock the doors and you can go down into the basement, because we lived in a kind of like I don't know how to, it wasn't apartments, but we had like townhouses, but it was the projects. And he said, remember we used to do that? I was like, no, I remember that. He was like, oh, that must have been I was bad. He said, remember we used to, the green, those big transformers?
Yes.
Remember we used to stomp on those and
Yes.
then we'd go there. I'm like, no. Shout out to my man, Shabaka Amin. But I realized, like, we got into mischief, and like even with we had a really good group of guys
Right.
where I grew up, and I didn't have that peer pressure. My peer pressure was my friend Squirt. We called him Squirt, right? Early in the morning, 7:00 in the morning, he would yell out my name.
Right.
Come on, we want to play football. Like, what? Yeah, we're going to play football. So, we would, even if my mom says, don't go outside the house.
Right.
Whatever, we go run, play football down. But that's the peer pressure we had at the younger ages. And then I guess in the teen years, we didn't have too much. And like I said, I'm not comparing my teen years to the teen years they have now. Because they are just,
it's so different.
oh my goodness, they're just
so different.
overwhelmed with things.
Everything.
Like even
Internet,
sex,
Yeah.
because that was a big thing too. That's like back in the day, they used to be able to go into what's it called, 7-Eleven or whatever, and they had the magazines right up on the front shelf.
Yes.
Right? Then they just moved it to behind the shelf.
Yes.
Behind the counter.
Yep.
That's what we had to do. Or you had to look at the lingerie section of the Sears catalog.
That is clearly a boy thing. That is clearly a boy thing. No.
All right, maybe that was really.
That's your thing. That was your thing.
But now,
They're everywhere.
It's on your phone. You can,
Even cartoons, children cartoons.
Yeah.
They show all that.
You gotta watch that too, right? So that's I could not.
Yeah.
I would never chastise a child, a teen or whatever, when it comes to peer pressure, because that is something that I can't even fathom. Like all the different.
Yeah, okay.
Even I remember one time, right? We got the Atari. That goes back, right? And we had this game called Defender. And I remember I stayed home because I was the last one, but I stayed home and I played this video game called Defender until I can, we say, turn it over, get a 1,000,000 points, whatever. Right. But I'm imagining, how would I have been with the games they have now?
Right.
And you can, sit home, and somebody else that stays home.
Yep.
Hey man, we're going to stay home on Monday, Tuesday, and Friday and play Madden.
Or you playing
Fortnite.
somebody even in another country.
Oh yeah.
Grand Theft Auto. Yeah.
And then that's also another thing with peer pressure. So you getting peer pressure through the internet.
Right.
So yeah, kids these days, they really have it.
They are under
tough.
the gun.
Yes.
I agree.
Yeah.
They are under the
Yeah.
gun. And I remember, like, I was watching something on TV and the girls being bullied. The kids were bullying her on her phone, and my husband was like, well, she just don't answer the phone. I was like, it's their life. That
Right.
is their life. That is like,
a part of them.
They cannot, that is their circle.
Gone are
They
the days
cannot
when
not
the fun
answer.
thing for me was going outside with my friends,
Right.
playing around the house.
Right.
We used to watch TV 4:00. I think that's when the main channels, I don't know about you guys, but the main channels come up at 4 p.m.
Okay.
Yes, and that's when you're back from school. So that's when you watch all the cartoons
Yeah.
and all of
Okay.
that before
Right,
your parents watch the news later.
Right.
But before then, like, you're outside with your friends. That's the fun part. We didn't have telephones. We didn't have nothing. It was so much fun then. We had so much to do.
Yeah.
But these days, everything is phone. Everybody, kids from even parents these days. Well, even me, I did it when my kids were really young, because I'm like, like, don't stress me. Just take the phone, go play to distract them. Like, just go, just go take YouTube.
Well,
go,
we
go,
did
go.
it with the TV. It's like, go watch TV. We did it with the TV, so it's the same thing.
I'm guilty of that too.
Yeah.
Go.
Yeah.
But
just go.
Here's another thing too. Like, so now there's so many different channels.
Right.
Satellite. You got 24 hours a day. There's something.
Yep.
Back when I was younger, the TV came on like early morning, but at
11
o'clock.
11
o'clock.
It was off.
It was off. It's like you would hear the national anthem.
Yes,
right?
and then
it was it.
static.
Yeah,
And then
that was it.
static. Yes.
So now you got kids that, they obviously they can stay up till 11, 12,
Right.
1 because, if they have a TV in a room or they sneak down, whatever it is, they're watching
everything.
everything. Like, at 2 a.m., guess what comes on? Skinamax.
You probably don't even have to wait till 2 a.m.
Right.
anymore. Like I said, you can get everything on your phone or your iPad.
Well, that's true. That's
you
true.
know, yeah, we got static at 11 o'clock. And then 10 o'clock, they was like, it's 10 o'clock. Do you know where your children are?
Right.
And then the national anthem, and there was no TV. But
Right.
now it's hundreds of channels and hundreds of things that they can watch. So
did you know your kids, reference to peer pressure, did you know your kids' friends?
yes.
You knew all of them?
Yes.
Okay. What about yours?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
I had the house.
Okay.
where all the kids came,
Okay,
and
so it was easier for
I
that.
was like, "Come, you know,
Right.
I want to know who you are. I want to
Mm-hmm.
see these kids. I want to know who my children are hanging out with."
So it's like I told you, like I just have this fear. Like I don't really like my kids hanging out with anybody.
Right.
Like they can't even leave the house without me. Like they can't even walk on the street.
Well, you know what they say? They say that a lot of the kids that have that really strict
I'm
household
not
like that.
strict. It's not like I'm strict. I'm not strict. I'm not saying don't go out, but I'm just like don't go out. No, it's not like they want to. They don't have friends. They don't have friends
it's hard
in my neighborhood. They don't have
Yeah,
friends. So
it's hard.
I told him that, okay, we're talking about me moving somewhere, and I was telling him to help me check out the place and
Right.
everything. And then he said, they had issues with teenagers or juvenile delinquent, whatever. And I'm
Right.
like, oh well, it doesn't matter because my kids will not even go to school around there. I would rather take them to another school, and they wouldn't have friends in that neighborhood. That their friends are gonna be my friend and your dad's friend, the kids. That's it, and that's how.
That's a bit too
That's not.
restrictive,
That's
I
not.
think.
That's not restrictive. I don't because me myself. I don't have friends.
But that's you, so you can't force your
I'm
kids.
not forcing them. I'm trying.
You are. You can't. They don't
so
even know what the other side
remember-
of the street looks like.
Remember.
Well, a lot of kids don't know what the other side of the street look
on
like.
Liberty Road, my kids be like, "Oh, I think we're home. I think this is the way to." I'm like, well, they don't know. So it's just I don't know at what point to release them.
You
know
never
what
know.
I'm saying?
You never
I don't know
know.
at what point to
Yeah.
release them and be like, okay, you're old enough. Like when they even come to the backyard of my house. And at 5 minutes, they're like, oh, yeah, just come in. I'm done. Okay, just come in. I don't want to
Man,
don't be outside.
When I was your kid's age,
How old are they?
My daughter's gonna be 11. My son's gonna be 10. So.
Yeah.
when I was their age, we was going to the corner store,
Yep.
buying cigarettes.
Can you
for the-
imagine?
Here, take
Yep,
take this 50
absolutely.
cent and go get
Yes.
me some Winston Salem,
My
Winston
uncle used to,
100s, and
he used to give me $1, and I would get him a tasty cake, a pack of cigarettes, and I think a Coca-Cola.
Okay, yeah.
You know, and he would say, if there's any change left, you can have it. So, yeah, we at 10 and 11, I was out of the house and I was doing things.
Yeah.
And it's hard. It's hard as a parent to decide when it's time to let them go. But you got to. You know,
Speaking
you
of
have
which,
to.
see who's speaking. You. How about your kids? You drive them everywhere. Stop talking.
Hey,
So
now,
it's a different
Stop
environment, but it's a different
It
it's a
is.
different
It
environment.
really
Like so,
is.
where I grew up, I walked everywhere, and
Right.
and like I said, we
Right.
lived in a project, so you would go to the next project, the next.
Mm-hmm.
But it was like things were close, and there was always somebody that you knew that was somewhere on the way. So it was a little different. So where we live in a single family home in a pretty big neighborhood, whatever, and everybody don't know each other like they did
Right.
back then.
Right.
We lived kind of close to each other. So, my daughter is more or less, she's more independent. She'll like to get out and, do this. And I let my guard down a little bit to let her say, hey, you know what was I doing at this age? Yeah, I'm
Right.
going to give her a little bit more freedom. But, this is my son is different. Like he just doesn't care to do all that. He can if he wants. I mean, he's 20,
And one thing,
he's 21 now.
one thing I've never
I
done.
still can't believe you still
I wish.
one.
One thing I've never done. I wish you would do with me.
What?
Go on the bus.
Oh.
Now, let me tell you, my mother never learned how to drive.
Oh really?
She left this earth without knowing how to drive. So she would take my son, my older son, with her on the bus. And at 6, 7 years old, he could tell you how to get downtown to Lexington Market.
Oh, yeah?
He could tell you how to get home. He could tell you if you needed a transfer. So he always rode the bus. He would get up in the morning, especially when he was a teenager, get up in the morning, get on the bus, him and his friends, go shop, go do whatever. The other one, the younger one, we had a car. He's never been on a bus. He has never been on
Yeah,
a bus.
neither one of my
And
kids
he
been on
is
a bus.
not having no part to that. My granddaughter is the same way. She has never been on public transportation.
Wow.
Well, now she does because she goes to school. She goes to two different schools. So now she does.
I've never been on public transportation outside of me leaving my hometown. So unless, well, then I learned about the subways and stuff. I don't count that because I was an adult. But as a teenager, we rode the bus. We walked.
Right.
I can walk from one end of my city to the next, to the other end, and back in the day. That's what we did back then.
Right.
Let me give another shout out to my man Andre Murphy, who had me running from the top part of the city to the middle part of the city. We used to go fishing.
Oh my gosh.
So I would go pick up the bait at one spot and then go down to his house, and we would go travel to another part of the city, to go fishing and come back. And we ain't never catch no fish. He caught fish.
It wasn't even the point of catching fish. You were outside, you were having fun, and you was doing things.
And that goes again with the peer pressure too. So, I don't know if I would have been that person to go fishing if it wasn't for him. So I had some positive.
So now you
peer
have some
pressures.
experience.
Same way, if you had friends that were smoking and all that,
Right.
you probably would get into
absolutely.
that.
I smoked. I
really?
drank. I did
wow.
all. Oh
Yeah.
my.
I don't even know.
My
friends
life was boring. So I didn't do none of
It wasn't
that.
blowing. You got to pick bananas.
Whatever. Oh my God.
He's never gonna let you live that down ever.
How did that come out of my mouth?
Yeah. He's never gonna let you live it down. I'm sorry.
All right, so here's another big. We talked about peer influence, which is big.
It's very big.
Community factors. Where do you live? Right.
Yeah.
Do you live in a high crime neighborhood? Do you live in
The hood.
I lived in the hood.
I
lived
did
in
too.
all the hoods.
Right. So along with that, when you talk about the community factors, how close are the schools?
Right.
How close are the corner stores, or I say corner stores, but store.
Right.
How many liquor stores you have in your community? Right.
How many grocery stores you have in your community?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So a lot of times you could, and let's talk about the kids that's in the rural areas. They
Right.
get in trouble too because one is nothing for them to do.
Right.
But a lot of times the positive side, they create stuff. They have that space to go out there and do certain things.
Right.
But like if you live in a city, and you got a liquor store at every corner, that's your temptation. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure that everybody, I might say everybody, but had that one store that say, "Hey man, can you go get this for me?"
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
So that's that that community thing. So I think who lives mostly in the inner city? Who lives mostly in the inner city?
I don't know.
Black people. Like I don't live in the inner city. I don't know.
Exactly. So you have all those negative things. There's some positive things too, but we talk in relationship to juvenile delinquency. You have more things the alcohol issues,
right?
Illegal alcohol, the drugs.
Yep.
Right. You're going to come in contact with way more people than you would in the suburbs. You can get lost in the shuffle too. So,
absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
So like if you lived in the suburbs or rural area, when you came to certain areas, people know who you are.
Right.
Right.
Your family, the whole thing.
Right. But in the inner city, like there's certain neighborhoods, people come and go.
Yep.
And which leads to another thing. Now these days you can't go to certain neighborhoods.
Right.
Because if they don't know you.
Right.
Now you
got
in
issues.
Trouble.
You're
Exactly.
in trouble.
So
yeah.
That's a huge factor. You lived in Baltimore.
I lived in Baltimore City.
So,
shout out to Park Heights.
All right. Wish I knew one of them Baltimore club songs. Was it Park Heights?
Look, Miss Tony say how you want curry.
Yeah. So, and you mentioned the economics of the house, right?
Right.
So you may not have availability of certain jobs.
Yep.
So what? It was interesting, right? Just looking at some of my my coworkers, my partners back when I was in the military or here for my job now. You would they had those things where Mr. So and so is a doctor, Mr. So and so is a lawyer, this is a police officer, right? So I'm looking back at my childhood, and we didn't have that,
right?
And I'm trying to think. Did I even know what any of those parents did?
Yeah, no, we didn't know.
I don't.
No, we did not know what their parents did, unless they wore a uniform. Miss So and So worked for the bus company because she had a bus company uniform on.
Right. Okay.
You know, but no,
So
for the most part, no.
I knew my mom's best friend at the time. She was a bus driver, I think. And I don't know if that was later in life, but you know, I just can't recall anybody's job.
Well, part of that too is children's business was children's business.
Well, that's true.
And grown folks' business was grown folks' business.
That's
and
true.
and a child would never ask an adult,
Right.
well, what you do for a living? How you make your money? Yeah, you
That's
just
true.
you knew your lane to stay in.
But you also had the, like, say, if the person that lived in your community was the neighborhood doctor,
Right.
right? So
Right.
you went to Dr. such and such,
Right.
whatever, or the dentist.
Right.
You know, I remember my doctor back when I was a child, and his office was like maybe 2 cities over.
Okay.
You know, Dr. Kwan.
Okay.
And I later went to school with his daughter, so that was interesting. Oh, Dr. Kwan, you know. But yeah, we didn't have that. So I think, you know, when you talk about, I guess it's more peer pressure in your community influence. But if what you see is drug dealers making money,
Yep.
or, you know, back when they say the pimps, the pushers,
Right.
you know,
Right.
whatever, that's going to be your influence. That's going to be your
role model.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
Especially if you're living in a house who can't provide. You know,
Right.
I see him on the corner every week and he has new Nikes. Or, you know, all the girls hang around him. And you look at him and see, and there's no, and, you know, people say that a single mom can raise sons. I'll get pushed back. I honestly think a man needs to be in that house. Or some kind of positive
Right.
male influence, because I feel like young black men don't have enough positive
Right.
male influences. So, you know, if my house is lacking in economics and I see dude on the street getting $1,000 a day or more,
Ooh.
you know, maybe I think I might want to do that. Well,
Yeah,
you
that's a
know,
lot.
it might be a lot, but you know, I think I might want to
Right.
do that. I think I might want to pursue that. Or you can even have, you know, I think people say, you know, I didn't know we were poor. I knew we were poor. You know, I knew my mother struggled, so I can't say that. But I can also say that there was enough people in my family that made me feel like I wasn't the outcast because we didn't have money.
Okay. And I think the same for me, because we all basically had the same
Right.
thing. You know, we had the
Right.
same struggles, and
Right.
you know, so I guess that's a positive thing.
Oh, it's an absolute positive thing, because then you had a community to go to if, say, you know, she need dinner today.
Oh yeah.
You know, you had a community to go, come on over here. Your aunt made blah, blah, blah. Come and get some of this. So it's hard. I feel bad for kids. It's hard.
So one of the things that I'm talking about now, I think the thing I have the biggest problem with is decorum. Right now, that's my favorite word. I used to say to the kids, behavior. My English teacher, Miss Cash, Miss Alice Cash, famous Alice Cash, you know, R.I.P. One of my favorite teachers. And I had some great teachers. I don't even recall any bad teachers. I really was lucky. But she used to always say, decorum, people, decorum.
Do you know, for all my life, I thought that meant silence.
So, well, but it could.
It could, right.
Decorum means a proper behavior.
Okay.
Right.
So in that sense, it was proper behavior. But, you know, where we are now, the quorum, the standard is very low.
Right.
Right.
There is no standard.
There is no right. So before, if you was sitting out there yelling and screaming and doing all this type of stuff or engaging in any criminal behavior, right?
Right.
That was a no-no. And people knew that was a no-no. They're going to say something to you, whatever.
Right.
But now it's almost expected.
Yeah.
Like who didn't go to jail?
Right. Or like my son would say he went to visit one of his friends in jail and like everybody he knew was there.
Exactly.
And it's just like, how is a whole neighborhood of kids in jail? But the thing with decorum is you have to have somebody to teach you these things.
Exactly.
So and that was my grandmother. Actually, that was both of my grandmothers. you had manners. You knew how to use a table setting. You did not eat on your front porch or do hair. You don't walk down the street eating food. Like they were strict with teaching you how to be respectful in public. Period. And you better do it.
All right, so none of that applies now.
None of that applies.
Don't walk down the street with no shirt off.
Oh my God.
Right.
Go to the mall in your pajamas.
Right.
The whole family in pajamas and bonnets.
The big thing I remember where where we pushed the limit was, this was back in the 80s when they had the boom box.
Right.
That big old box you put on your shoulder. I remember this guy named, what was his name? His name was Fred. I don't know Fred's last name, but he was one. He wasn't a big guy, but he was older than us. But Fred always walked around. He had this big old boom box.
Right.
And played, but that was the limit of, that gray area of what's acceptable.
Right.
But now it's like, it's okay to curse out the police.
Yes.
It's okay to
curse
out the
old lady
teacher.
on the street.
Exactly.
Like,
We never did that.
No.
No. It's like, there's no, what was that thing where there's no honor among thieves.
Right.
So now it's like, it's a normal thing where everybody can do what they want, and it's not even looked at, given a second look.
Well, part of that too is, I'm not gonna say nothing to this kid because I don't want him to take my head off.
Right.
So that's part of the issue. Or like, if the teacher tells your parent that you're acting up in school, we caught it. Like you did not act up in school, but now it's the parent coming to the teacher saying, "My kid don't act like that."
But what did you do to make him call you a bitch?
And that's just like, oh, you didn't speak to teachers like that. You didn't act like that. So the level of respect for people across the board is very different now.
So let me ask you something. Do you think it's because, overall we've gotten more freedom? Like, all right, for example, there's certain things you couldn't do in school.
Right.
In my school, you couldn't wear sweatpants unless you was participating in
Really?
Yes, you couldn't wear sweatpants or shorts. And it didn't matter how hot it was.
Right.
So all it takes, through time, like somebody somewhere sues. Well, you can't tell a kid that, whatever. And next thing you know, they're wearing whatever they want.
Right.
All types of inappropriate stuff.
Right.
So now we have a generation where that is just like things have been just chipped away.
Right.
Chipped away. So, I think that has a lot to do with it.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree with that. I definitely would agree with that.
So normalizing criminal behavior. That is the one thing, like,
are we normalizing criminal behavior though?
They are. You know why? Because they don't look at, like, all right, so let me think about this. Somebody throws a brick through somebody's window.
Right.
Somebody throws some eggs at somebody's door. Right. It's okay. Nobody says anything. Oh, they're just being. And this is what they're just being kids. You know how it is. That's just being kids. You walk in the middle of a street.
Oh yeah.
Through the cars. Oh, the kids. We did much worse when we were younger. That's what they say. So, it's. I think that's a downward spiral that we are.
Well, look at it. Has been a downward spiral.
Yeah.
Look at it now. Juvenile crime in Baltimore has increased significantly. Carjacking,
robberies.
mugging. Yeah,
it's crazy.
It's crazy. And how do you turn that around?
Wait, and about the squeegee boys? I heard something about those.
Okay.
Yeah, the squeegee boys.
That's. You know what? I understand them trying to make money, but I think somewhere along the line, someone should have, got there and said, "Hey, here's a different way of doing things," and then we throw that decorum back in.
Right.
No, thank you, and then they, next thing you know, you get into a confrontation with them.
Right.
And I know it's not like everybody, but still, that's things that they have to deal with, and of course, people don't trust each other these days for good reasons. Right? Sad to say.
It is very sad to say, but it's for good reason.
What about the schools?
What about the schools?
Is the school environment a huge factor in juvenile delinquency?
I think No Child Left Behind is harmful.
Oh yeah. Who came up with that?
I don't know.
It was Bush.
I don't
Bush.
know. It was Bush.
It was Bush
It was
W.
Bush.
George W.
Yeah, that is extremely harmful. You are pushing kids out of school who are not prepared for the world in any kind of way.
Well, I think the intent of that was I could see both halves of that. So a lot of times you had a kid that just wasn't going to cut it. You know, you 20 years old
Yeah,
in the
still in
ninth
high
grade,
school, right?
So what they didn't want to have that person going to the liquor store and coming back to the 6th grade, you know, that type of stuff. So, you know, I could see them saying, we're going to, but they could just say, hey, we're going to create another school for you.
Right. Or something else.
We back where from, they always repeat classes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's America that I say that everybody has to be like the same age.
Well, that's
what,
like
right,
the no school. The No Child Left Behind was they didn't want the kids to keep repeating. And
class.
when you had somebody who was 2 or 3 years older than
the kids who should be in that class.
Right, because then there's a lot of consequences of that.
Right.
You know, but yeah, that's another thing. Now the school environment, you're going to come across kids from all over the city or all over different places, right? And you're getting mixed up with them, and you see the different behaviors, right? And we know some schools it only take like maybe 5% of the school for the whole school to just be looked at as you know,
a bad school.
Yes. Yeah.
So when I left high school, I went to a high school on the east side of town. I lived on the west side of town. I purposely decided that I didn't want to go to school with the same people that I had been going to school with, you know, all of my school career. And when I got to the east side of town, it was such a culture shock. It was such a culture shock because they did all kind of things differently. You know, everything was different. And I was just like, what in the world did I do? I had no friends because I left all my friends behind. So it was really hard to assimilate initially. But after a while, peer pressure, I won't say peer pressure, but you know, hooked up with the friends that I still have today. And
they were all from the east side?
They were all from the east side of town. And I was just like, one was from the west side, the other two are from the east side of town, and it was very, very different. But that school at that time was a good school, and now it's not. You know, and now it's just like, oh my God, you went to that school? And I'm like, it was a good school.
We knew him from basketball.
right. That's what, you know. But yeah, the schools are very different. But you had to learn. You know, nobody was pushing you out of school. You had to pass those tests. You had to do what you needed to do.
So speaking of which, I'm gonna throw some words out there, and you tell me how it could, you know, negatively affect or cause a kid to get pushed into juvenile delinquency. Right?
Okay.
Let me give some words. Well, phrases. Well, academics.
Okay.
Right? How could that lead a kid into...
Well, like I said, the kid who left school in the 8th grade, who couldn't read and couldn't get a job, and here I am busting somebody over the head because I need a few dollars, you know, or I'm selling drugs because I need a few dollars.
Okay. Truancy. You know what truancy is?
No.
Okay. Truancy is basically hooking in school, skipping school.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I ain't gonna lie,
That's
skip
bad.
school all the time.
But
so skipping school to do what exactly?
To break in.
I was sitting
it's
on the back.
definitely bad to do bad stuff.
Yeah,
So.
that's a lot of them would do breaking the buildings, people's homes, going out to smoke, to drink.
Definitely to do something really terrible.
Guilty as charged.
Let's see, dropping out of school. You mentioned that, right?
Yeah.
Lack of connection with teachers and peers.
Yeah.
Well,
and you know something, we haven't talked about those loner kids. That don't hook up with peers. Or you know, by themselves or picked on, and you know, I could see them bullied.
The school shooters.
And they end up criminally, you know, the school shooters. So
so bullying is a big one. The feeling isolated, I guess that's the loner, right?
Yeah.
Lack of support services in school. Now, you know what? All right. The kids are probably in school more than they are at home.
Yes.
Right.
But we can't rely on the schools for
everything.
Yes.
Right.
You know,
right.
we want them to learn the basics. We want them to learn. So all right, they take out stuff. They took out a lot of the we call it the technical stuff,
the technical stuff,
the cultural
and
stuff,
the cultural stuff. Yeah, all of those things are
cursive.
Cursive. I just can't even. Yeah. But everybody use a pad in school now, so that's probably why.
But that's their reasoning. But I don't. Right. But you can use a pad when they say sign your name on this contract.
I know.
But I guess by that time they'll be using thumbprints.
Right.
But
let's see. I think we had band, and I was in band, and you develop things in band, and you learn things in band, right. And the same thing with wood shop. Like those were things that kids could have a career in later, and they took all of those things out of school. And my son would say it's the school to prison pipeline, and that's what the school did when they started taking out all of these things that kids could do to make a living.
And everybody's not cut out for college.
Everybody is not cut out for, and it's not fair to push kids when they're not ready. Mm-hmm. You can't make them go, but they will need something.
And you think about this too, even at the school environment, right? So there were programs in there that built, boys into men, girls into women. Did you have sororities?
Not in high school. We had clubs.
The clubs.
Okay. We had clubs.
Like a women's group club, right?
We had clubs.
So we had those. We had the fraternity, sororities. Mm-hmm. We had sports. Sports was a big thing. Sports saved a lot of people from being criminals,
right?
Because you could take out that frustration that you had on the on the field or the court, or you built that self-esteem,
right,
that you didn't get anywhere else,
right?
You couldn't cut it to academics, but you can, So I think that's, if you don't have that, like, because you dropped out, or you're not in school, when you can't play those sports or participate in those activities, that's a pipeline.
That's a big one, yeah.
Right. So, school, media influence.
That's a big one. That's a really
Lord.
big one.
Yeah.
That's a really big one in today's world. Like,
yeah,
everything is there. That's what they want to become. That's what everybody wants. Social media influencers, blah blah blah, all those things. Like, everybody gets their influence from the influencers.
You're right. So you gotta look at the television, movies, right. We was talking about
people don't even
award shows earlier, right?
They don't really they're not even really so interested 100% anymore in movies
or TV.
TikTok, Instagram.
It's TikTok, Instagram.
Well, no, they're still in the movie. The kids love movies.
They do, but
you're getting them from, you got the the Netflix. If you ask a kid, if that gang lifestyle, whatever, right? Mm-hmm. They're looking at movies like I said, there's always lessons in some of them. Mm-hmm. Well, some of them were, you had Boys in the Hood, you had Menace to Society, you had a whole bunch of different things that people didn't know about, like, say, from on the East Coast,
right?
So now you got that you glamorize the whole gang lifestyle. Oh, I like that. I like, what I'm saying? So you do have that in movies. You have the movies, if somebody wanted to be, let's say, a pimp. And
we had a whole lot of black exploitation.
It's just like I like horror movies. I'm not going to jump on the broom one day. I'm not going to try to stab you.
Well, how'd you get here?
On a broom.
but still, that's you. But there's some people, like we talked about, the loners, people were getting bullied. So they see all these different movies. You can see a movie of let's say what's a horrible movie? Oh, one I won't watch. What's the one with the guy with the mask?
Scream.
No, the little puppet.
I don't know.
Oh, it's a bunch of those. I haven't seen any of those either.
So I can't watch those. Yeah. But a kid who really wants to act out, right?
Well, like, this is how I can go about it.
Yes.
Right. Oh, and these days, do you know, all these movies, even this series, even for adults, when they have all these murder shows, like literal how to get away with murder kind of thing, like how somebody
that was
killed.
One of my favorite shows.
Oh my God. And I'm like, I keep telling me, I'm like, how do you keep watching this? Like, why are you watching this? Like, why you watch at the night? I'm like, I hope when you're watching this, don't if you have issues, let me know. Please don't try and kill me and put me and dump me somewhere.
But you know what? Now here's the thing. We're bombarded through those things, with those media, the games, the movies. But now it's like, as an adult, we should have some type of brain power to say, oh, I know how to disseminate what's good and what's bad.
You would think so.
But what about a juvenile?
Well,
Yeah,
true.
and
So-
that's hard for them to decide.
It is.
It really is
It is.
hard to pick out. It's so many things going on when you're a child.
Yeah.
You know, it's so you just trying to navigate the world and learn who you are, and try to do all the right things, and you can't. You can't. It's hard. I can't imagine having this kind of access to
Oh, my
everything
God.
in the world at any given moment.
I know I'll be be a different person if I had this. Oh, back then the video games, the music, like even we had our age was when they first started putting that explicit lyrics things on the music, right? And you had to go buy the CD, and,
right.
We too had
or the tape.
paper the book the book used to be called I forgot what it's called. Like where it had all the lyrics.
Green Eggs and Ham.
Whatever.
Oh my God, what is wrong with you? I remember my son asking me, he wanted something, maybe the Biggie CD. I don't know what CD it was, but he was like, Mom, don't go to Walmart and get it. And I was like, well, I'm going to Walmart. Everything I need is, don't get it at Walmart. And I didn't understand that Walmart didn't have explicit language on their CDs, but he wanted the one with all the cussing on it. And I was just like, what? Why can't? And we had a fight. My husband and I had a fight over Grand Theft Auto. I saw it. I didn't like it. I didn't want the kids to play it. He brings it home, and they're in there and they're playing, and I was like, "What is that? Because it's they teach you how to get a hooker and shoot a cop, and oh my God, it's horrible.
Oh, wow.
It is absolutely horrible." And I was just like, "Why did you buy that for them?" Oh, they asked me, and I thought it was okay. It's like, no,
It's not okay.
it's not okay.
So if from a all right, let's say from a guy's point of view, like say a man, well, it's like, well, when we were young, we used to play. Cowboys and Indians and this and that, whatever, right? So we kind of look at it that way. And I remember my wife at the time, she said, I don't think it's appropriate for Junior. He might have been like 7 or younger, but he was so good at video games, right?
Right.
So we had the war games. I forgot what's called, like
Halo. What is that?
no,
What is
before that, like
Okay.
almost like not the matter game. What's it called? Game of Thrones. No, Game of Thrones. the modern warfare type stuff.
Okay.
But we had one where it was like World War II.
Okay.
And we was playing this thing, and I was like, all right, me in the back room, me and my son, we playing, sniper, right? So we going around,
Right.
He gets me, right? Just as she was walking by the door, shot you in the head, Daddy. Shot you in the head. I was like, come on. I was like, oh my God. So those are the things that people worry about.
Yeah.
But and it's not like we didn't have a sniper,
Yeah.
right? What's
Yeah.
the guy
DC sniper.
the DC sniper, right? And the little kid. Well, he wasn't a kid, was like a teenager, right? So music is
Talk about peer influences.
oh good. But music, I think probably not. And I know, I don't care anybody who says that music doesn't influence people. Yes, it does. I was influenced by the music that I listened to back when I was a kid.
In what kind of way? I mean, was it influencing you to the point that you wanted to do a crime?
In every way. But the thing is, when I was growing up, so I would listen to, you talking about the 80s, the golden age of hip hop.
Right.
They was talking about parties. They was talking about,
Women, getting girls.
But most of it was like,
Until NWA came along.
oh, exactly. So that's what I'm getting at, right?
Right.
So my generation, when you listen to music, it was a lot of positivity in
Right.
it.
Right.
They what was the
Public Enemy.
even Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five, the message,
Right.
right? That was a story
Right.
about all the bad
perils.
things. Yes.
Yes.
Now you got this trap music. Or whatever they call it.
I can't even listen.
And I've listened to some of it, and I'm like, this is horrible. This is horrible. And I'm gonna tell you this: one of the influences that caused me to take the occupation that I took was because I listened to a particular rap
Oh, wow.
song that was "F the Police,"
Wow.
right? And I was like, oh wow, this is dangerous. It's
Right.
like, well, and I thought about it. I said, well, I think I can do better. This is my thing. I remember it like it was yesterday. I think I could do better. And if this is how they are, and I'm gonna be different.
Right.
So that was, so it does influence people. So it's just a matter of if it
Does it in a
influences-
positive way or a
Exactly.
negative way?
And then there's a lady, and I forgot her name. There's a lady on Instagram who goes over all the lyrics in songs that basically
Wow.
I'm not saying grooming, but they go back. All right, so what was it? Aaron Hall, Aaron Hall. What was it? That song he had from Juice. You can yell, you can hit me. It just makes me horny.
Oh my
right?
God.
So she has like all these songs. And I was like, oh my God, I used to listen to those things.
Yes.
Right. And of course they didn't get me to commit crimes, but this is kind of like the subconscious mind
Right.
saying, you know, if your girl's out of place, it's your girl I slap.
Right.
Right. There
right.
you go. That's domestic violence.
Right.
But now in the 2020s, they're doing everything. They're saying everything.
Yeah.
You can learn how to, you know, make or cook up some crack or whatever.
Right.
You know, so
right.
that's
Well, you
definitely
can
a
get
thing.
that on the internet.
Well, yeah,
you
that's true,
can,
too. Oh,
you
that's-
know, you can get that on the internet. You can learn how to make a bomb on the internet. Like
Yes.
you can, everything is at your disposal.
Yeah.
So maybe you were saying something about, are we too free? And
Yes.
and is not enough stuff restricted?
Right.
Maybe.
I don't think we're too free, but I think we're too free with certain ages. Their access,
Right.
you know, maybe if they could fix that, the access that they have is
Well, that's part of the job as a parent to,
Well, yeah, that's
you
true.
know, restrict what you can see
Right.
and can't see.
got a solution for that?
I'm listening.
Polygamy.
Oh, jeez.
Whatever.
Yeah, that's his answer to
It
everything.
is. It'll fix it.
That's your answer to everything.
Um,
So, you know, what do we do? How do we fix it?
one, you got to get people to care.
Yeah.
And the people, and it's all based on people trying to make money. You got to, and I hate to say this, God, I don't even want to say this. You got to hold people accountable, even those big corporations that,
Right.
you know, put those Grand Theft Autos out there.
Right.
You know? But parents have to, like you said, parents have to take control. And if you had like a, you know, a 3-parent, 4-parent household,
Oh my
you know,
gosh.
it'll work.
Why are you talking about that?
Yeah,
So I'm
everything
saying
comes
there's
back
you know,
to
you had a
polygamy.
dad and some, you know, whatever. They got more eyes, more supervision.
Okay.
But and then we talk about substance abuse. We already mentioned that.
Right.
That's the
I
line
mean,
right to
Yeah. I mean, think about it. Sometimes it's a whole family,
yeah.
you know, the whole family is using. So if you're a kid in that environment and mom's nodding and dad's nodding and you don't have any other place to go, what are
And-
your options?
And I guess that's normalizing criminal activity as well,
Right.
because not just them, everybody doing
Everybody
it.
doing it. Right. Everybody doing it. I think I started smoking cigarettes because everybody in my family smoked
Really?
cigarettes. You know, everybody did.
I don't recall anybody. Well, I know my mom smoked.
Right.
You know, but I think I didn't like the what I saw in it. I didn't like the, you know, I didn't like the smell. I didn't like
right,
the,
right.
you know, if the coughing and it's totally different thing. So I
Right.
guess there's a balance between that. But you're right. You know, what did you have?
Nothing.
You didn't crack no coconuts.
Oh, you
illegally.
know what? You are so
Whatever.
wrong.
No, you know, throwing mangoes at car
You are
windows. driving.
so
Funny.
wrong. I can't. I cannot.
So, all right. So we're going to close this up, but some solutions. All right. So one thing, what I always say, there's never one solution. You have to
never.
hit it from all angles.
angles,
Right?
Yes.
So you have to have, you know, they have DARE in school, right?
They still have DARE in school?
I think they do, but I think you need to go back earlier now instead of just doing it in middle school or junior high, whatever. You need to go back earlier.
And continually do it.
Yes, and you have to have mentors because you
Yes.
can't control how a student's home is, right?
Right.
But we have to have something where you get more positive role models and more mentors.
And school should be a safe place.
Yes, and let me throw this in there too. Have food available, like breakfast.
Oh,
lunch, and dinner.
absolutely.
So even dinner. So here's the thing: like a lot of people, if you're not getting food at home,
Right.
you're not gonna go sit in the classroom with your stomach growling. Whatever,
Right.
you're gonna go out there try to get some money.
Well,
or
they're trying in that aspect. So,
Yeah.
'cause
And you
do
can't
give
pay attention.
breakfast.
You can't
Right.
be function.
Right.
They do give
functional.
breakfast and lunch
Yeah.
in schools.
so all right. So for you, what would you say? One thing you would change to or not? You don't have to change it, but one thing you would want to do to reduce juvenile delinquency.
I don't know, like reorientate people,
Re-
like, or re-educate them
Okay.
on certain things, like
Okay.
try to like build trust, like change things. Like it starts from the family, from the
So
home.
you're talking about go into the family, try to have more family support.
Yes.
Yeah, and
Family
more
support
resources
services.
for the
Yes.
family.
Okay, that's a good one.
I think I would have more after school or weekend activities that
Okay.
kids could do, or places they could, it used to be Boys and Girls Club. It used to be like, we used to swim at the community
Right.
pool, like just things like that kids can go and learn things and have mentors, and just something other than hanging on a corner and watching people
Right.
or participating in things that are legal.
So I'm gonna take the other angle, and I'm gonna say you have to have consequences for your actions. You have to start at an early age, and it has. So I can tell you now, a lot of juveniles, a lot of kids do things because they know there's no consequences to it. There's no consequence. Why? What are you going to do? They think the parents can't beat them. The police not going to do anything. So there you have to have
they will even tell you,
consequences.
they even read out the law to you. They will even tell you
Oh,
that,
absolutely, yeah. If you hit me, I'm gonna call the police, and this is what's gonna happen.
You cannot prosecute me because
Right.
I'm 14 or I'm 13
Right.
or whatever.
But I'm telling you this, and that goes for not just juveniles, but that's everybody in society.
Right.
But you have to start
Being
early,
ac-
and I'm
yeah,
not saying
being
just
accountable.
just throw them
Yeah.
in jail.
Right.
I'm just saying that there has to be some consequences for their actions. If the consequences means they have to, write a
Community
1,000
service.
words
Right.
or community service,
Pick
or,
up trash on the side of the road.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm going to say. So I know this has been a long podcast, but thank you guys for tuning in,
Sticking with us.
sticking with us.
Yes. Yes.
Wake up. So yeah, if you guys have any ideas you want to add on to it, you can always check us out on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, Tumblr.
He's gonna forget one.
Yeah, he is.
He always does.
All the social media platforms. We would love to hear what you have to say about it. Of course, we don't know everything, but we would like to engage you in a conversation. You can also leave a message on WhatsApp, or you do a voice note, or you can do it by text, and that's 443-860-2716. That's 1-443-860-2716. And email, you can go to our website, Hot Topics with an X, HOTTOPIX podcast.com, and all that information is on there. You can listen to us on any of your favorite platforms if you go to that website and send us an email. So we would love to get some feedback.
By platform, he means podcast platforms.
Yes, podcast platform. We're on several.
Spotify, Apple, Amazon,
Deezer, Spreaker. Oh, you said the keyword.
Because I was switching the voices.
iHeartRadio.
iHeartRadio.
One of my favorites, iHeart.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and definitely please share with family, friends, neighbors.
Boyfriends, husbands, lovers.
Yeah. And if you have a suggestion for a future topic, please also let us know. And we're out.
Thank you for
Have a
tuning
good day.
in.
Ta-ta.
Till next time.